So anyone who knows me, or anyone who's been watching the channel for a little while, should know that I am a massive fan of beast modes. What you may or may not also know is that when it comes to said beast modes, if one happens to be a dinosaur or a monster, all the better. Which makes me very, very enthusiastic to crack into this little brohame. I don't know why, but I feel like she's a girl from looking at her. Maybe it's because she looks kind of like a node. I don't know. Let's scope it out. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest, of how the opening of the package destroys the box art. Because it kind of means with her on there, you never actually get the opportunity to see this awesome image in full. And I want to see the awesome image in full. Anyway, here she is. Can I just say, what an incredibly charming little bot. She is so small, but so cool looking. I don't know, I've just become kind of enamored by her. What a cool size class. This gives me a lot of hope for the other fossilizers, because it is a weird thing. It's a really cool thing. She has a lot of attitude. All of this like texturing and weathering on the bone work is just phenomenal. Like, it's such an inconsistent surface texture. It looks really good in person. It's almost coming up even nicer on camera with the lighting. I am so sold on this line, and particularly this, subline of fossilizers, solely based off the strength of this little lady. That's quite the commendation. I feel like one of the things that people don't like about beast modes and Beast Wars Transformers is that so often it's kind of just standing up an animal and then flipping the head around in the chest somehow. Just forever just straightening out, bones, straightening out leg pieces and stuff. It's like, ooh, the crooked hind leg of a dog radically transforms to be a straighter leg. It's straight now. More than meets the eye. So let's take this awesome, bone sword out of her hand. And have a good look at her articulation, shall we? Because it's really quite impressive for a figure so small. So you get ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, no wrist, but it doesn't really matter when you're dealing with a double ball jointed arm. So she's got a really generous ball joint on that hip, because if you didn't know, the hip bone's connected to the thigh bone. The thigh bone's connected to my wristwatch. Pretty good knee joint. The only thing I would say with that is a very thin and bony shin. So just when you're bending it, I would hold it up high so that you don't put any undue stress and strain on that joint. Awesome little ball jointed clown shoes, but not any clown shoes. Dinosaur clown shoes. And her head is on a really well cleared ball joint. She can get a lot of different shapes thrown out there. Oh, loving it. Alright, for a couple of bot mode comparisons, we're obviously going to have to go quite small, because she herself is quite small. So, on the smaller side, let's have a look at her alongside sound barrier. And let's take a look at her alongside everyone's favorite small boy, Bumblebutt. Hey there, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be fast friends. I hate to say it, but with the amount of kind of like damage and erosion to the parts and the fact they're kind of skeletons, the fossilizers almost remind me a little bit of the dragons and stuff in The Last Night. Ugh. Gross, I know, but it's that kind of, we still work, but we pretty busted up. I do hope that they get incorporated somehow into the Kingdom show. That would be cool. And not just like yeah, look, there they are. No explanation warranted. So if you need her doing something other than running around holding a giant bone sword, it's quite cool. If you come around to her back, right, just the nature of the ribs being plucked together, you can just go ahead and wedge that sword just straight in there. It's almost like Velcro or something. So that's really cool, right? For such a small figure to have this much detail, this much articulation, and even like, proper weapon storage, To me, that bodes quite well for the Kingdom line thus far.
Nobody cares! Enough with the chit chat, make with the Dino mode already!
Woohoo! I love me a Dino mode! So, turn her around, open her back, flip down her head, around the front, pull up that skull. That will give you the room to push the head right inside her chest cavity. We're going to bring this all the way back. Use her chest piece to cover that head. I forgot to, it's worth mentioning, a lot of the parts on her are quite a soft, rubbery plastic, which almost helps with the transformation, to be honest. See, there's a little tab there, little slot there. Try and get them to line up as best you can. Again, being soft plastic, it kind of just sits over it, but so far it seems to have stayed okay. Then we want to come around the front, get these little armies, pivot them in. What makes this transformation a little bit difficult in parts is, yeah, the soft plastic, but also she's really spiky, so you end up hurting your fingers trying to move her across. Also, at least on mine, this joint in here to pivot is quite hard compared to, you know, how easily the ball joint of her shoulder pops off. Oh, man, that was a slog. So then you'll see you're kind of a bit of a tab going on here and a bit of extra spikage there. So what you're kind of trying to do, if you can, is get those elbows in and get them to lock in to that area there. A little tabbage. There we go. There we go on that side. A little tabbage cabbage.
Oh my cabbages!
Now we can come around here. Starting to get a bit of a dino flow going. Smashed out like that, she looks very much like just a fossil trapped in rock. And we want to flip each side of her chest down to help cave in those arms. Hold that together. And the legs are pretty much just what we talked about. Fold it, bend it. But, you know, life on Earth all sort of evolved from a fairly common point. So legs being more or less legs, well, that makes sense, right? Then you just get that tail and plug that in. Now you can, right, have it up whichever way you prefer. I like that. It looks like more of a running pose. And there she is. Vertebreak in all of her fossilized, stony, bony robo glory. She can throw just some amazing dino shapes. I know she's only teeny tiny, but that is a very good looking alt mode in my opinion. Now her Dino mode articulation is pretty good given how small she is. So, you know, you can twist the tail, I guess, and slightly wiggle it if you feel like it. This soft plastic means that so many modern Transformers, you can't really put them in a toy tub or a toy chest if you're a kid, because the next time you go and get them out, they're going to be really bent and warped and never quite the same again. Legs, same articulation. It arguably works to be even more fluid in dinosaur mode. No articulation out of those little T-Rexy hands. Aww. We get some up and down out of that beautiful head sculpt. And that mouth is also on a hinge. Worth mentioning, I think, is the fact that this mouth is made out of very soft rubber. So if you're opening it and closing it often, I can see there being a lot of stress where it connects to the head. I imagine in the future, if anyone's tracking down and finds like a loose flea market Vertebreak, the odds of this piece still being on it, I think will be quite slim. Yep. Articulation wise, I do think it's a little bit of a shame that we don't get anything from this neck, but you do get so much out of the body that you can pretty well get most of what you want. Same as there's no left and right on this head. If that had been a bowl joint, and this had been a bowl joint, this would just be so exceptionally posable. As it is, it's just quite articulated, as opposed to exceptionally articulated, which given the price point, I think is something we can probably all live with, especially when you consider how amazing the sculpt and paint details are. Even the fact that some of the paint apps have quite a matte finish and others have quite a gloss finish all serves to make it look like this is something that just crawled out of a tar pit to kick some ass. Oh, hey there, you look like you could use a car wash, friend. Man, I really have become quite taken by this little mean machine. She is great. More dinos. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of dinosaurs. More dinos, please. Should you get the chance to pick up this little dudette, I strongly recommend it. I can't help but feel that all the fossilizers in her are gonna make quite a cool little squad. I'm not exactly sure what dinosaur she's supposed to be, some kind of raptor or something. I do like the hint of, you know, tarry feathers. Whatever she's meant to be, it's quite anatomically correct. I don't know. Maybe a Skeksiosaurus?
Friend!
And for a final comparison, Vertebreak, I'd like to introduce you to Vertebreaker. I will love him and kiss him and call him George.